Signing up took you 11 seconds. Cancelling will take 3 phone calls, 2 chat windows, and a retention offer you never asked for. That gap is not sloppiness. It was designed, tested, and measured by people who knew exactly what they were building. And it is the quiet reason your income went up last year, while your net worth sat exactly where it was. In the next 12 minutes, you'll see where the difference actually went, why it was so expensive to get back, and the 2 rules that stop it happening again. Start with the raise. Say your take-home pay went up $400 a month. Over 12 months, that is $4,800. Real money. Money you noticed the first week and stopped noticing by the 3rd. Now ask the harder question, where is it? Most people expect to find it in one big purchase. A car, a holiday, something you can point at and say, that's where it went. But that is almost never what happened. And the reason it isn't is the whole subject of this video. What actually happened is smaller and much harder to see. Over the 8 months after the raise, you upgraded a streaming tier. You added a second service because a show you wanted lived there. A fitness app in January. A delivery membership in March. One more cloud storage tier because your photos ran out of room. Individually, 8, 16, 15, 10, 3. Together, 52 a month. 52 out of 400. That is 13% of the raise, which sounds almost reassuring. Here is why it isn't. Every one of those decisions was permanent by default. You did not choose them again this month. They renewed, and they will renew next month too, unless you personally intervene. A one-off purchase ends. A recurring one has to be ended, so draw it on a napkin. Income line, up 8%. Net worth line, flat, not falling. Flat? That flatness is the whole story here. The raise changed the number on your pay statement. It only changes your net worth if you decide where the difference goes. If you don't decide, the difference gets distributed for you in small, permanent increments by companies whose entire business model depends on you never revisiting the decision. Here is where it gets uncomfortable, and I want to be straight with you. This number surprises almost everyone, and it is not a reflection on your discipline. In a survey of 1,000 US consumers by C+R Research, people were first asked to guess their monthly subscription spending. The average guess was $86. Then they were walked through the categories one at a time and asked to itemize every recurring charge. The real average was $219. $133 a month unaccounted for. Nearly $1,600 a year that people were genuinely spending and genuinely could not see. 3 things make that possible, and none of them are about carelessness. First, the charges are spread across different dates and often different cards, so they never appear next to each other. Nothing in your month ever shows you the total. Second, annual billing hides the monthly cost. £149 once a year does not feel like £12 a month until you sit down and divide it, and by then the renewal has already gone through. Third, prices drift upward quietly. The service you signed up for at 9 is charging 13 now, and you were told in an email in the middle of a working day, 8 months ago. You are not tracking any of this because nothing was ever built to help you track it. And it isn't a few outliers dragging an average. In the same research, 74% of people said recurring charges are easy to forget. 42% admitted they were paying for something they had entirely forgotten about. 72% had every subscription set to auto-pay. Separate research by West Monroe found 89% of consumers underestimated their subscription spending, and 66% were off by more than $200 a month. When 9 out of 10 people make the same error in the same direction, that is not 9 out of 10 personal failures. That is a property of the system all 10 of them are standing in. Think about how you joined. 1 tap, maybe 2. Your card was already saved, your address was already filled in, the confirmation was instant. Every ounce of engineering went into removing obstacles between you and the yes. Now think about how you leave. The cancel option is not on the account page. It is under settings, then membership, then manage, then a screen asking whether you would like to pause instead. Then a discount, then a survey about why, then a phone number with opening hours that do not overlap with your working day. None of that is broken. All of it is working. Which brings us to the part most videos skip. You already know you should cancel things. You have known that for years. So why haven't you? Not because you're lazy, because the exit was priced, not in money, in minutes. And somebody chose that price on purpose. And here is the arithmetic that makes it so effective. Suppose cancelling one service takes 40 minutes. Spread across 2 attempts and 1 phone call, the service costs $12 a month. On any given evening, the 40 minutes feels larger than the 12, so you defer, entirely rationally. You defer again next month for exactly the same reason, and the reason never stops being true. That is the product. The friction is not there to stop you cancelling. It is there to make deferring feel sensible forever. $12 a month for a service you defer on for 3 years is $432, paid to avoid 40 minutes. Say that back to yourself once, and the decision changes shape. This has been counted. In early 2024, the International Consumer Protection and Enforcement Network ran a coordinated review across 26 countries. 27 consumer protection authorities examined 642 websites and apps that sell subscriptions. Nearly 76% used at least one possible dark pattern. Nearly 67% used more than one. The 2 most common categories were sneaking, hiding or delaying information that would have changed your decision, and interface interference, which means designing the screen so the option that is good for them is the one your eye lands on first. 642 sites, 3 out of 4. This next part is a US example. The logic is identical in the UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Only the dates differ. In October 2024, the US Federal Trade Commission finalized a rule with one very simple requirement. Cancelling has to be as easy as signing up. It was due to take effect on the 14th of July 2025. On the 8th of July, 6 days before, a federal appeals court struck it down in its entirety. Not because the idea was wrong. On a procedural failure, the agency had not run a required cost analysis. The rule that would have made leaving as easy as joining died on paperwork, 6 days out. The agency has since restarted the process from the beginning. It is moving elsewhere slowly. In Australia, Parliament passed a ban on subscription traps in July 2026, and it takes effect on the 1st of July 2027. In the UK, the Digital Markets Competition and Consumers Act contains a full subscription regime, repeatedly delayed, now expected in early 2027. The UK government's own figures put roughly 155 million active subscriptions across the country, worth about £26 billion a year, of which an estimated £1.6 billion is spent on subscriptions people say they do not want. So help is coming. It is coming in 2027. Your next 12 statements arrive before that. So, 2 rules. The first takes 90 seconds and it happens on the day the money arrives, not later. When your pay goes up, split the difference before it reaches the account you spend from. Not all of it, half. If it is 400, 200 moves the same day it appears, i.e. to savings, to debt, to a retirement account. It does not matter which. It matters that it moves before you see it sitting there. The other 200 is yours, guilt-free, untracked, no justification required. This works because it does not rely on you noticing anything later. It uses the single moment when the money is still visible and still unattached to anything. Every moment after that is a decision you have to win on a Tuesday when you're tired, and those are the ones you lose. The second rule handles what is already there. Pick one evening. Open your last 3 statements, 3, not 1, because annual charges hide in the months you did not check, and write down every recurring line by hand. Handwriting matters here. It is slow enough that you actually see each one. Then apply a single question to each. If this charged me for the first time today, would I say yes? Not am I using it? Would I buy it again, at today's price, right now? Anything that is not a clear yes gets cancelled that same evening in that same sitting while you still have momentum. Expect the retention offer. It will be a real discount, and it will also reset your renewal date by 12 months. Decline it. And if the cancel path turns out to be genuinely hidden, a phone line only, hours that do not fit your life, a form that fails, that is information about the company, not about you. Write down the date and time you tried and what happened. Then contact your bank or card provider about the recurring authority. In most of these markets, you have the right to withdraw a continuous payment authority directly through your bank, whatever the company's own screen tells you. It is a last resort, not a first move, and it is worth knowing you have it. You do not need permission to stop paying for something you have cancelled. You are never going to out-discipline a system built around your exhaustion. But you don't have to. You need one decision at the moment the money arrives, and one evening a year to close the doors you did not mean to leave open. That is the entire intervention. The raise was real. It was always real. It just needed somewhere to go before something else chose for it. If this was useful, subscribe. It is the thing that decides whether these keep getting made. A like helps it reach someone who needs it. Share it with the person you know who has been meaning to cancel something for 8 months. And in the comments, give me one number. How many active subscriptions did you find when you counted them? Not how you feel about it, the count. You will find you are not the only one. There is more on Instagram and TikTok, both linked below. The channel also has a shop with a few tools that might be useful. Links in the description. Take care of yourself.